First, I think the first reason is open source give me food for like 20 years, right? Most of the job at Novactive was because we were expert in open source technology, right? Even though it doesn't mean it's free, right? But it's open source. So you use tools that has been built by other people, and okay, all the benefits of open source. Okay, you can look at the code. It's probably safer because we can look at the code, so no backdoor or no security breach, or when you have some, they can be easily fixed. Bug as well are fixed by people in their garage. So open source has this kind of community thing, like you want to be part of, right? If you can contribute to a tool that you are using, I don't know, for me, it's kind of awesome, right? You have this big tool and you find a bug, you can fix it yourself. This is great. The next step then is to do a library yourself, right? Say, okay, I have an idea and I want to ship it to the world, and maybe people are going to love it, maybe not. And that's not so easy, right? Because then it's a challenge as well. To me, it's like a side project, because then you ship your code as an open source bundle extension, whatever it is. You kind of have to be proud of it, right? You're not going to ship an open source library that you are not proud of it, where the code is not clean, where there is no documentation, where it's bugged, right? So it takes time if you want to do it and do it right. And we did a lot of things open source in the previous company. We do it in Crystallize as well, because we want to accelerate people using our own product. So we have open source library. And I have some library on the side as well, like a service bus library that is called missive.js. It's not used so much, right? We shipped it with a friend like maybe months ago. And, but we'll see. We're using it. Maybe one day some people are going to use it. That's okay. We still, this is also part of the journey, right? Maybe it doesn't make sense. Maybe it makes sense for you, or maybe you want to advertise it more, right? Look at Tan Stack. I mean, this is insane, right? It's like all open source and is making a life out of it because everything's great. So to me, it's to give back. The first thing is to give back. And if you can live out of that, or if you can be happy because people are using your library, why are we developer, right? We like to build stuff. And if our stuff is used, this is the thing, right? This is why we are building stuff, I guess. We are building stuff because we want this stuff to be used. Same for open source. If your library is used, you're happy, I guess. At least for me.
Right. No, yeah. So obviously you've done a lot of stuff in that developer journey. Who have you had like a mentor, or like someone who's been like really, really influential in like your journey with that? Or who's been there to inspire you?
In general, for development, I would mention Fabien Potencier, right? The founder of Symfony, definitely. The guy is maybe a little bit less now, but it was contributing a lot. Everything in Symfony is like open source. They respect the standard. So when you play with it, you learn the web. And I met the guy many times. So definitely Fabien would be not a mentor per se, because we didn't work together, but like it's a figure that you look and you say, oh shit, it did so many things, great things. Every time he was doing something was, and still true, right? What's good. So yeah, I will say him. Then of course you meet people at your place of work, right? I have some people that I met that was really cool. Olivier, I mean, so some people, the first person who explained to me how CSS float left and float right was working. I'm a backend guy, right? So front-end is not my best things, but I still remember this guy, very nice, explaining the CSS to me and being on top of every new CSS. Because at that time, it was Internet Explorer 6. Then you had to know like all the browser, because you had to cheat them all. It was insane. So yeah, some people like that, of course.
Yeah, we're definitely spoiled nowadays, where basically CSS is pretty standard for all browsers, with a little bit of specification here and there. But I remember when it was like one thing that worked on Firefox would just completely break on like IE, and then the other thing would, it was just work we're spoiled nowadays. Now all we have to worry about is like hydration errors.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And performance a little bit because people are doing great.
So, as long as it looks pretty, you can kind of shove off performance.
No. Yeah, but to answer the question, I think people who are sharing are probably who are the example, right? If you share, it's probably because you know, most likely, right? At least it's not that you know the truth, but you have one truth. If you share it, people get it or they don't get it, but at least they have something, they have the stuff that you've shared, right? So I think it's a good thing. That's why I do like when I can like a talk in a conference or something like that. You find a good topic, you share it, and you see how it goes.
Yeah. So have you gotten the chance to mentor anybody? And what would be your advice to developers in today's age of AI?
Yeah. I mean, to mentor, I mean, that's part of my job, right? Day-to-day job at Novactive, where you get intern, you train them, you try. One part of the CTO is to make sure that the team will grow and where the team will get up to date, to stay ahead of the competition. So, and you, it's not that you train them because you can train themselves, right? But you're here to advertise the new stuff, to try to push a little bit the boundaries of which tech should we use, how to innovate, and make them comfortable in the risky choice. This kind of things. Like not everyone in the team, because you have good person even better than you in teams, right? But for the younger people, my advice is, what we were saying earlier, you need to know the basics. To me, if you don't know the basics, then you are not able to debug. You are not going to be able to deep dive, to debug, to understand, right? How many people cannot go further into a bug, cannot go deep down into a bug? To me, a bug is always fixable, just a matter of time, right? Some people are faster than others, but everyone should be able to debug a bug. You need the process, you need to know the basics to be able to go deep down and figure this out. So to me, yeah, basics. You need the basics.